Hey guys, welcome to my channel, and today I'm going to show you how to configure Microsoft Deployment Toolkit 2013 in your environment. So let's get started.
So we're caught up in drama. Everybody's talking. We're caught up in problem. Everybody's talking.
So this is my server I'm going to use for this MDT. So in my previous video I have shared you the configuration of WDS server. So WDS is a server by which we can deploy image to the workstation. Without WDS, the workstation will not boot from the network. So for MDT as well, WDS is the base. So WDS is required to configure MDT. So now I'm logging to my server. Okay, so this is the same server where the WDS is configured. I'm using the same server for MDT as well. You can configure the MDT in a different server as per your user load. So for my test environment, I'm using the MDT in my WDS server. As you can see, this is the same hostname for WDS that I have used earlier. Okay, so MDT has some benefits which use the .vim format of the OS and the Windows pre-installation environment, by which we can customize our OS. We can deploy several applications through images very easily. It has a task sequence feature in the workbench that will help us to configure the different kind of application. We can put automated application in the application list so that the imaging will happen with a zero touch. So there are lots of prerequisites before configuring the MDT server. So first thing we required for configuring MDT is that Microsoft ADK tool. The ADK tool will help to install the prerequisites that will required for the MDT installation. So I have downloaded the ADK file. This is the ADK file which is 1 MB file. You can download this ADK setup from Microsoft site very easily, and if you run this application, it will download the actual content, which is 7.3 GB. It will download the actual content from the internet, and you can, or otherwise you can store this content from internet to your local server, then you can install it from the local server. So what I have done is I have downloaded the content from the internet and stored in a local server. So I'm using that only. So I'm just cancelling it because I don't want to download it again. Close. So I have downloaded it here. So I have to select this installation path, then click on next, accept. Okay, so these are the things that Microsoft offers in Windows Assessment Deployment Kits, but you don't require all these things. Just to be specified, few things is required. So if I go with the prerequisites, so these are the things that MDT requires, that is Windows 7. MDT supports Windows 7, Windows 8, Windows 8.1, Windows 10, server 2008 R2, 2012 R2. Also required the ADK to the Windows 10, Windows PowerShell and .NET Framework. And for this Assessment Deployment Toolkit, we required only these three things: deployment tool, Windows pre-installation environment, user state migration tool. So I'm going to install these three only. Not required, 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 not required. So these three options we required for this MDT installation. So I have to wait till this installation complete. Okay, so the installation has completed. Now I'm clicking on close. So my prerequisites are ready, and now I'm going to install the Microsoft Deployment Toolkit 2013. So this application also is available free in Microsoft sites. You can easily download from the Microsoft. Now I'm going to install it. Please note, without configuring WDS, this cannot be configured. WDS need to be configured because MDT requires WDS. Okay, so pretty fast installation is completed. Okay, so all the installation has been done. Now I'm going to prepare the MDT console. So if you just go to start, all programs, you'll find this deployment workbench. Open it and click on yes. Okay, so this is the console. So there are lots of information here in the information center about the documentation, how you can configure it. If you follow the guide properly, you can configure it by yourself as well. So this is the main part of this console, the deployment share. First you have to create a deployment share to configure the installation automation. So just right click on it, new deployment share. So deployment share need to be set in a specific path of your system, and this will be shared in your system. So all the workstation will access this share. So I'm just keeping it default, or let's just change the name. Now click on next. So this will be the share name, deployment share. I'm just changing this name also. You can keep it default, there is no issue or no problem. I'm just keeping it default. Next. So here you can just uncheck all. You can put this letter as well. So I'm just clicking on next, next, and finish. Okay, so my deployment share content is ready. So as you can see, there are lots of folders in here. So each of the folders has its own capability. So first thing is the application, where all the application you need to configure in here. So if you want to deploy any application at the time of image, you have to put it in here. Operating system, you have already know that this is the folder for operating system. The operating system will store in here. Out of box driver, this is for the driver box. All the laptops that has the drivers, you can put it in here. So I have told you in my WDS video that WDS requires only the LAN adapter driver, but in MDT you can put all the drivers including LAN, VGA, Wi-Fi, every driver you can put it in here, and at the time of imaging all the drivers will be installed. Okay, so this comes the task sequence. Task sequence nothing but a sequential deployment. So one by one deployment stage will be processed by this MDT server. So advanced configuration, here there are lots of other things that you can skip it for now. So these are not required right now, so I'll describe this on later video. Okay, so monitoring, you can check the monitoring. Okay, so we have to enable the monitoring to check if the device status is imaging or anything else. Okay, so let's start with the operating system import first. So now in the operating system part, I have to mount the OS disk, and then I have to select the Vim file and it will import in here. So just right click on operating system folder and click on import operating system. So there are three options: full set of source file, custom image file, Windows deployment service image. So there are three options you can use. You can select the full DVD, it will automatically select that that WIM file, and you can select the only WIM file. And third option is you can select the Windows deployment service image, which will pull the image from the WDS. So I am selecting the second option. I prefer to choose always custom image file. Now you have to select the WIM file. So I am just going to my DVD and selecting the install.wim. This is the main WIM file for OS installation. Open. Next. Setup files are not needed. Next. Destination directory name Windows 7. Next. So I have to wait till this. Okay, so OS is imported. Now if you just go, see in my OS I have two versions of operating system, that is 86 and 64. So it has taken the both. So Windows 7 Ultimate 64 and 86. Okay, so my next part is application. Let's say I want to deploy Google Chrome at the time of image. So I have to put the Google Chrome in this application. So right click on this application, new application. Application with source file. Say if you have a source file in application, the best way to deploy the application is to select this first option. I always prefer to use this first option as a application source file. Click next. Application name is mandatory, but these three are optional. If you want to leave, you can leave, no issue. So I'm just putting Google Google Chrome. Next. Source. Now you have to choose the source directory. This is my Google Chrome directory. So let me show you. In the downloads, I have the Google Chrome browser folder. Here this is the MSI file, the Chrome standalone MSI file, which is Google Enterprise MSI. So okay, so this is the option, move the files to the deployment share instead of copying them. So MDT, what MDT do is, in MDT take a copy and put it in the shared folder that MDT has taken. If you go to the computer management and to the shared folder, MDT has created one share, which is SCTech deployments that I have named earlier. So if you just open, so these all folders are created with the different. So in operating system, you can see my Windows 7 folder here, install.vim. So in this application, the Google Chrome will come in here. So I'm just going to the console, closing it. Okay, so just clicking on next. I don't want to move, I want a copy of that Google Chrome. So next, Google Chrome. So here you have to put the command line. You can put the silent command line, you can put only the installation command line. So I prefer to use a silent command line so that installation can be done without any user interference. So I already copied the command line here, which is MSI exec, which is for installed, which is required for installation of an application, I for install, Q for quiet, and this is the application name. So I'm just going to copy it and paste. Next, summary next, and finish. Done. So my application part is done. Please watch my part 2 video for rest of the configuration, and don't forget to subscribe.